OK, let's talk about this non-royal tour that Harry and Meghan had in Nigeria, because they're going there to try and garner support, aren't they, for the Invictus being held in Nigeria, and to lay the groundwork for that. But a lot of people are saying that it was very either presidential or very royal in what they were doing. What's your take on that, Rupert?
It is basically a royal trip in all but name. Look, he was, you know, he's seen military. It looks like a royal trip. The optics of it make it seem like it's once again the royal family, just as any other member of the royal family, going to visit another country. He's inspecting troops. He's been the national anthem was being played at a dinner or a lunch that they were held at. So, you know, it does look completely like a royal trip. At the heart of it is the desire to try and maybe make Nigeria to be a host of the Invictus Games some years down the line. So it was a sort of exploratory look. But for Nigeria, it's clearly garnering a great deal of publicity. It is definitely, and looks like a royal trip, something they didn't want to do. But in a way, this is what they want to do, is a royal trip, in inverted commas, on their terms. They're controlling it. It's not got any, they have got the agenda. There's nothing else. It's all about them and what they want to achieve, rather than maybe a bigger picture, which they felt that they couldn't be part of. And that is, again, a sad thing, because actually when he goes out and about, you know, he does have an element of star power about them. But it has also had an element of turning into the Meghan show as well, as she has been talking, you know, saying, going back to finding a place where she says she's got 43% Nigerian heritage and all that. So there's also a big part of it is also the Meghan show, and she is clearly loving that.
But I think that it raises the question, what are they? Because when they go on tours like this, they are distinctly quite royal, yet, or they act quite royal and they're treated quite royal, but then when they come back to their home, or when they decide to pursue something commercially, you know, when they can be bothered to turn up, because of course, let's not forget the Spotify disaster and, you know, all of those sorts of things. But when they then sort of seem to pursue something commercially as a result of that, and it's that, I guess my question is, does it all chip away at the value of the crown when they do this, when they act royal in one sense, but then commercial in another?
Well, this for Harry and Meghan is part of their branding and showing what a force for good are, and to make them seem that they are commercially viable as an entity. Yet, but they are trading off their royal connections. And that, I think, is the thing that many people find uncomfortable. How can you say you don't want to be part of it? The half-in, half-out scenario was something that the royal family said won't happen. But then you look at the Nigeria trip, it is absolutely looks like any other royal trip you've probably seen, any other, going to schools, going to see the military, have a few dinners here and there. It is a royal trip in all but name. You can't get away from that, but it's to enhance the brand of Meghan and Harry, to see that they still have worth on the international stage. And Nigeria felt it worthy of asking them and putting on it at probably quite a lot of expense. You know, there is huge swathes of poverty within Nigeria. It's a vast country, as we know. It has very wealthy people, but it also has the extremes. So it is, you know, for many people, for Nigeria, it is a shop window for them. And they deemed that Harry and Meghan were the vehicle that could be a shop window for Nigeria. Is it panning out all right? Well, I have to say the pictures make them look as if they're having a good time.
Do you think that conversations will be being had in Buckingham Palace about this tour that Meghan and Harry are taking, or do you think that they're just like a minor irritation?
I wouldn't say that the Sussex brand is a minor irritation. I think it's a totally frustrating one. You know, the British High Commissioner has said in Nigeria that we had nothing to do with it. We obviously know they're there. It's deemed a private visit in some sense, although a very public one. But so I think from the royal household, it's right. Well, they're off doing their thing. There's nothing we can do about it. If that's what they want to do, what control do we have? You'd hope, though, that at the heart of it, they would be seeing that it's not just about themselves, that it's actually something that they are contributing in a very positive way to what life in Nigeria by their visit. And if the Invictus Games comes to Nigeria a few years down the line, then this trip will be worth it.
It's just really bizarre because, of course, all of this, what it does is it gives a huge amount of publicity to Nigeria, and you've got to give them credit, and if it's to do with the Invictus Games, but also, as you rightly point out, to themselves. And then, of course, that then does give license. This is the world we live in, that when you do this, you will then be analysed. There will be headlines written about you. There will be headlines written about you that aren't very nice. And so, therefore, I don't think you can have it both ways. You can't then say, well, look, we're being bullied. We've got these awful headlines. Our security is under threat. It's absolutely dreadful for us. But meanwhile, we're going to go on the hugely publicised royal-esque tour. You can't have both.
Yeah, but they haven't got the sort of the royal pack with them, if you see what I mean, which they would normally have, the press pack that have the license within the royal household. They are controlling the narrative. They have their own people around them, and they've probably made it quite clear to the Nigerian organisers that that's what they want. It probably is going to pop up in a documentary at some stage about the good work they did on this, and not everything has come out, but down the line we will see it. Everything has been staged, managed by Harry and Meghan to make it look good in their front. Has it gone perfectly? Well, there are bits of things that haven't gone quite smoothly, but no royal trip, or even a fake royal trip, has ever gone smoothly. So, and they are susceptible just as any others. So, but they want much more control over the narrative, and that's one of their beefs when they said in the first the reasons they left, they felt they had no control over the narrative, and Meghan does like to control that narrative.
Oh, I think you're right there. Rupert Bell, thank you. That's Talk's royal correspondent on what's been happening.